What do kilts, the Mountbattens, scary clowns, and Spock have in common? Well, something I have very, very mixed feelings about right now. Hey everyone, this is D, Movie Man, fellow cinephile, popcorn addict, and emerging film critic, coming to you with reliable recaps, reviews, and reactions. And today, I'm coming to you all with my thoughts on The Traitors Season 3. This is going to be a recap / review of the 3 newest episodes that just dropped on Peacock. Let Battle Commence, Revenge is a Dish Best Served Cold, and Nail in a Coffin. So first, let me say that if you guys have not checked out my thoughts on The Traitors Season 2, I do have recaps available for some of the episodes from last season. It was enjoyable, especially because of Phaedra and some other cast members as well, but that ending wasn't necessarily a fan of that. But please feel free to check that out. And of course, I also get into my thoughts on the show as a whole, what I enjoy about it, and so on and so forth. And I will also say that given that I've also watched UK and Australia, US is cool, but UK and Australia blow this out the water. And I understand US has all the reality stars, which is fun, but I just think still, even with all the memorable faces and figures from these shows, it's just something about UK and Australia that just do it bigger and better for me. But ultimately, it is something I enjoy, especially given that this is a reality TV competition version of Mafia, which I played numerous times throughout college. So that in and of itself, realizing that when I watched the show back in its first season, that was wild. I was like, really? This is what we're doing? Okay. And yeah, I'm very excited to see it return. I do have some issues that I will address. But in the meantime, I will go ahead and start with my thoughts on the cast and just listing off the cast. And I'll do it in 3 categories. The first is, of course, listing off the cast members and their respective shows that I am not familiar with. Then moving over to cast members and their respective shows that I'm not really the biggest fan of, or I'm just kind of ambivalent about. And then, of course, cast members that I love and enjoy and their respective shows as well. So, without further ado, let's get into it. We are going to start off with Lord Ivar Mountbatten. Considering that I am a history buff, I was very well versed in that name. However, I was not familiar with Ivar overall, and finding out later in the show that he had been married for, I want to say, at least 14 years, even more, having 3 kids with his wife, and then marrying a man was wild. But at the same time, it's like these royal families in general, especially the Mountbattens and especially the Windsors, yeah, it's just like more often than not, it's just like it's always going to be some mess involved. It's always going to be secrets that are hidden away. So him saying that honestly wasn't surprising. But having an actual royal or someone as a part of the royal family as second cousin to the king himself, I did think that was pretty interesting. We also have Dylan Efron, who is Zac Efron's brother. We have Nikki Garcia from WWE. We have Bob Harper from The Biggest Loser. And although I will say that I technically do recognize Bob's face, I didn't watch The Biggest Loser, obviously, but there was a point where I thought he and Ivar were the same person. And maybe I kind of looked down, looked up too quickly. But yeah, I was like, it took me a while to realize they were 2 different people. So there's that. We have Britney Haynes and Danielle Reyes from Big Brother. We have Gabby, Windey, and Wells Adams from The Bachelorette. Bob the Drag Queen from RuPaul's Drag Race. And Sam Asghari, who is a model / actor who was formerly married to Britney Spears. I still am very interested in what is the casting criteria here sometimes? Like, not to say that they all have to be just reality stars, but it's just like, Zac Efron's brother, Britney Spears' ex-husband. Okay. I'm not hating. It's interesting trying to figure out like what goes into casting for this show. Now, in our second category, we have Chanel Ayan from The Real Housewives of Dubai. I think Dubai has been cool. It obviously has not been the best of Bravo's Housewives shows, and I think Ayan was really enjoyable her first season. Going into the second season, it was kind of the second season syndrome that happens to a lot of housewives, where the things you like about them the first time around, the second time it's like, oh gosh. I don't dislike Ayan, and I do think she's funny, but she was kind of on some BS this second season, and then yeah. So I mean, I still like, I'm cool with Ayan, but it's not like where it was before. Dolores Catania from the Real Housewives of New Jersey. I have never disliked Dolores, but at this point, Jersey, we can lay it to rest. I've been so tired of Jersey. I think after season 11 for me, it's been downhill ever since. I'm like, sorry, throw it away. I'm tired. I'm annoyed. Moving on. Robyn Dixon, the Real Housewives of Potomac. I really enjoyed Robyn when she first came on Potomac. You know, she was kind of the voice of reason. She wasn't afraid to kind of like get with folks. And I just think after a certain point, I just kind of got tired of Robyn's rinse and repeat storyline with Juan and all his shenanigans and just being hypocritical about a lot of things. I understand she's not the only one to do that on that show. And the show itself is also somewhat obnoxious. But by the time Robyn was fired, by the time like she was out, it was just like, what else is there? But I think Potomac overall is kind of whack as well. At this point, I hate to say it. So Robyn, she's here, but okay. Chrishell Stause from Selling Sunset. I really did like Chrishell to begin with, but after season 3, I just feel like there are certain folks who kind of start out as the underdog, then they start feeling themselves, and they become very obnoxious and disingenuous, and I'm sorry, I feel like Chrishell is that person. I know she has a lot of fans, but I am not one of them. I don't mind the fact that she's here, but I'm not going to act like I'm just so hyped to see her, because I'm not. Ciara Miller from Summer House. I have to say, as someone who has never watched Summer House until recently, it is a surprisingly kind of addicting show, or addictive show, I should say. Yeah, it's such an interesting show. But yeah, I ended up, doing a lot of binging. I think I'm on season 8 now. And so Ciara, I go back and forth with her. I like the fact, obviously, that she was the first Black cast member on the show. But her personality, the way she is, how guarded and closed off she can be, how she's been with some of the other castmates, I go back and forth with her. Sometimes I really enjoy her, sometimes I really don't. So, I mean, not mad at her being here, and I'm somewhat interested to see like what her dynamic and what she's going to bring to the show this season. And lastly, we have Tom Sandoval from Vanderpump Rules. Womp, 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 womp. I don't know why he's here, other than just shenanigans. Well, I do find out part of the reason why he's here, but it's just like, I'm tired of seeing Tom Sandoval at this point. And it's not even for the sake of the whole Scandoval situation. If you've watched Vanderpump Rules, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, I don't know what to say, but that's another one I binged. And Tom Sandoval to me was already insufferable. So when all that happened, it's just like, oh, okay, well, that's not surprising to me. But him being on this show, and I just womp, 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 womp. That's all I got. And then lastly, we have the people that I know and love. That is Dorinda Medley from the Real Housewives of New York City. That is one of my all-time favorite housewives. Yes, I understand Dorinda has her flaws, but man, she has been a constant source of entertainment. Clip, you fool. We also have Carolyn Wiger from Survivor. Carolyn really surprised me, and I have recently become a massive Survivor fan. I've been binging, I think, since like last year. I've been kind of watching on and off since last year and just kind of progressing with the seasons, watching with my mom. I can definitely thank my mom for getting me into it, because before I was just like, it was never really a show that I thought I would be interested in, but I am now. So I'm happy to see her, and I think seeing how she'll work in this sort of gameplay will be interesting. We also have Jeremy Collins from Survivor. I'm also a huge fan of Jeremy as well. I've always enjoyed him as a player in the game. And then lastly, we have Tony Vlachos from Survivor. And Tony is back and forth. I think Tony is a great player as far as like the Survivor Hall of Fame and so on and so forth. Do I really like Tony? Yes and no. So, but like as far as this game and then him, Jeremy, and Carolyn being on this season, it's like, okay, So he goes in this category technically, just from the standpoint of being a part of Survivors. So with that being said, that is everyone. And of course, we begin the first episode seeing everyone pulling up to the one and only Ardras Castle, located in the Scottish Highlands.